I know my studio still looks like this. It's the middle of winter and I think it's gonna become a New Year's resolution to finish this up a little bit more. So for now, I'm sorry, this is what my background looks like. I am here today with Gary DeSnake from the Zootopia 2 movie. I saw him and just thought, oh my goodness, I need to make him. So this is what we're working with today. He's super cute. You can even tie him into a little knot for when he sits on your shelf. So cute. He's got super adorable eye ridging details that goes across here. And of course, the big beady snake eyes. So we are gonna be making him today. Let's get started. So here's everything that we're gonna need for this project. I'm gonna be using a weight 6 blanket yarn for the body. For the eyes, I've got a weight 4 worsted yarn for the eyes, and then the pupil, I've got a weight 1 yarn in black. You're also welcome to use a safety eye if you'd like, instead of doing that triangular shape that we're gonna be doing today for the eyes. I've got some scissors, some stitch markers. I have 2 different size tapestry needles. I use the larger one for the blanket yarn and the smaller one for the worsted. And then I have 2 different size crochet hooks. So I use a size 8 crochet hook for my blanket yarn and a size 4 millimeter for the worsted. And then of course we've got our polyfill. All right, so let's make our snake. We are going to start with a magic ring. So I work mine like this. Reach under the X, pull the yarn through, yarn over and pull through. Okay, now we're secure. I'm just gonna tuck this one little strand through that circle and we will secure it properly in 1 or 2 rows, or rounds, I guess. So let's start with 8 single crochet into the ring. Okay, we can pull our ring shut. And round 2, we're going to single crochet 1. Let's see if I can get it in there. Oh, it's gonna fight me. This reminds me of that SpongeBob moment where it's like 3 hours later. Goodness, that's a tight stitch. There we go. Sorry about that. Single crochet 1 and then increase. And we are going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, round 3, we're going to single crochet around. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and secure, I'm gonna move you guys over a little bit too. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and secure my yarn tail here. And I do that with my needle, and I'm just gonna run it in the same direction around that magic ring again. Basically just looping it around itself so that it can't just be tugged open. Okay, and you don't have to trim it because it's just going to be floating around on the inside. So let's bring our work back to the right direction, and we will carry on. So we are going to do round 4. Then we're going to work 3 increases, one right after the other. Oops. So there's 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of forming like the cheek. And then we are going to do single crochet 3. And then we're going to repeat all that again. So 3 increases. And 3 single crochet. All right, now for kind of a fun round here, we are going to start with a single crochet 1 and then an increase. And repeat that, so single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 2, and this is where we're going to form the eye ridge on the snake. So we're doing what we're calling a front post single crochet. So instead of inserting our hook through and crocheting around these top loops like we normally would, we want to form a stitch that raises up a ridge. And we do that by inserting into our first stitch and then coming out the next stitch. So it looks like this. So now we're actually stitching around the front of the post. Yarn over and pull through. Now it doesn't look like much on camera right now, but as we keep building that out, you'll see the ridge keeps forming. So now we're going to single crochet 1. The single crochet 1 goes into the same stitch that we came out of in that front post. Okay, so that's this guy right here. And another front post single crochet. So insert into the next stitch like this and come out the following stitch. Okay, and then work your stitch as normal. Okay, it looks like this. And then we are going to single crochet 2. Keep in mind that the stitch we need to insert into is the same one we just came out of. It feels a little awkward. If it feels a little awkward, you know you're in the right stitch. Okay, single crochet 2, and then we're going to increase, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, and then single crochet 3. So if you don't have 3 stitches at the very end here to single crochet into, you know that you've likely just worked into the wrong stitch following the front post single crochet. That's probably the only place where you would have run into an issue there. So just follow back up and just make sure that you single crocheted into the same stitch you came out of in the front post. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to do round 6. So this is single crochet 6 to start. And we're gonna do, I call this an increase 3. Basically it's just working 3 single crochet into 1 stitch. So this stitch, you work an increase. So 2 stitches and then 1 more, 3. Okay, makes this kind of like a fat bump right there. We're going to single crochet 1. And now that has brought us nicely to our front post that we did in the previous round. We're going to work another front post. So we're going to insert to one side and out the next. Okay, and do the single crochet there. So now our ridge is going to be building up on itself. Single crochet 1 and another front post. one side, out the other. Working into a front post from a previous row gets easier as you go because it's already a little bit raised, so it's like obvious where you need to work into. Now we're going to single crochet 1. Mind your placement for that single crochet there. Now we're going to do increase 3 again, so 3 single crochet into the same stitch. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet 9. I got a weird little factory end here. I'm actually just going to go ahead and snip that because I don't trust them. And I'm going to just tie on a new piece of yarn like I would be doing a color change. So I'll show you guys how I do that. Basically, I'm just going to go into the stitch just before I complete the stitch. So you would normally yarn over and pull through, right? But instead of doing that, I'm going to do that with my new strand of yarn. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a tail, yarn over and pull through with that new one, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tie off the ends with each other on the inside. I do a double knot and then one of these, and that's it. It's just going to sit inside. You can trim the tails if you want to, but kind of just add as extra stuffing. Okay, I was going to finish off like we said we're going to with a single crochet 9. I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, but we do have 2 ridges kind of forming right here on each side of like the cheeks. Okay? Now round number 7, we are going to start with a single crochet 9. Okay, and then we're going to do a front post single crochet. This one will not be worked into the front post from the previous round. It's actually going to be right before it, so don't freak out if you're noticing that they don't completely line up. They don't. They're going to form a bit of an arc. So we're going to do our front post here. Okay, then we're going to single crochet 3. And same thing on this side, our front post is going to be adjacent to our previous front posts. Okay, and then go ahead and single crochet 12. Okay, so that's what we're looking like so far. So we've got our ridges here, and then it's just kind of spanning out. Okay, so that is actually the last of our front posts that we're going to be doing. Now we are going to work round number 8. So that's single crochet 1. We're going to do a decrease. I'm going to show you guys how I do my decreases. I do this in every video. You're welcome to choose whatever method that you would like to do, but this is how I do mine so that it becomes completely invisible, there's no gaps, no holes, and it's really, really secure. So I insert into the first stitch, pull through a loop, then I yarn over and pull through 1. So you got 2 on the loop here, then go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, you've got 3 on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So what that does is basically we've actually gone ahead with that yarn over, pull through 1. We've created a fake stitch within our decrease. So when we come around on the next row or on the next round, I'll show you how to work into it to make it look completely invisible. Okay, so that was single crochet and decrease. We're going to do that again. So single crochet 1 and another decrease. So insert into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now we're going to do a decrease 3 stitch. So we are going to, instead of decreasing over 2 stitches, we're going to decrease over 3. I do this technique basically the same way I do my regular decreases, so I'll show you. So I insert into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, and now we're just going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4. So we've created a fake stitch under our first loop right there. Okay, now just a regular decrease. Again, if you guys want to do your own technique for decreases, that's totally fine, but I like to show everybody the way I do mine. Okay, and then we are going to do single crochet 2. This is right between the ridges now. And we're going to mirror it on the other side. So we're going to do a decrease and a decrease 3. So that's into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, and then pull up loops in the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Now we're going to do a decrease, single crochet 1, decrease, single crochet 1, decrease. Okay, so this is what we look like right now. So we're starting to take a pretty good shape. You can see that we've kind of rounded off kind of like the eye ridges at the top, and we've got like the nose ridges here with the front posts and our cheekies on the side. So we're shaping up nicely. Now we're going to just single crochet around, kind of start fresh after getting past all those decreases. So after the first single crochet, we're going to come to our decrease from the previous round. So this is how I work into it. It looks kind of bulgy and kind of funny right now. So if you were to work into just the top stitches as you normally would, I'll show you what that looks like. It looks really holy, and we don't want that gap. So instead of working into that top stitch, let's work into the fake stitch that we created. So you can see there's a ridge right here. We're gonna go under there. You'll find your hook slides perfectly into it like it's meant to be. Create your stitch, and you can see there we've completely gotten rid of the gap, and you can see in the previous round as well, it completely hides it because we created that fake stitch and it got pulled up with the next stitch in this round. All we're left with is just kind of like the little stitch there. I'll show you again. So we're going to come into the next decrease. We're going to slide not into that top set of loops at the top there. We're going to go into the fake stitch underneath. And there we go. Same kind of thing when we come to the decrease 3. We've got a big gap up here. We're not going to go in there. We're going to go into the first fake stitch that we created. Just like that. Okay, and keep doing that all the way around. And you'll find as you stitch into those kind of like fake stitches, as I call them, into the decreases, it tightens everything up perfectly. So we did a lot of decreases in this previous round, and you can see it, you know, it looks nice. It doesn't look like anything there. Anyways, that's my teaching moment for the day. For anybody that's been watching my tutorial videos more than just this one, you've probably seen that technique worked before. But it is still as good now as it was then. Okay, so there we go. We've single crocheted around. We've closed up all of our gappy holes. Now, if you are going to be putting on safety eyes, I would suggest putting those on now. And you'll see where the eye ridges kind of form around here. It's like there's a natural dimple where you be putting the eyes. So the eyes will be coming in here, okay? We are going to be making our eyes later on, so we're just gonna go ahead, finish our snake first, and then come back and sew those eyes on after. Now we are going to start round 10 with a single crochet 3 and then decrease and repeat that around. Okay, round 11 is single crochet 2 and then decrease all the way around. You can start stuffing your head anytime. I'm gonna start stuffing probably at the end of this round. Okay, yes, I'm gonna actually stuff after the next round. Okay, and we're gonna single crochet around in round 12. Okay, perfect. And go ahead and stuff the head. Now, the most important part when you're stuffing this head is that you gotta make sure that you've got a lot of fluff up in the tops of the eye ridges because that really shapes the face. So you don't want that to fall flat. So this yarn color is not super great for showing the ridging. It probably doesn't look like anything on camera. In person it does a little bit more, but there's not a lot of shadowing going on in this in this yarn color. It'll help when the eyes get put on as well, because you'll be able to see the shaping kind of around it. Okay, nice and squishy. I'll probably add a little bit more to like the neck. For this, we're going to be stuffing the head only, and then when we work the body, it will be really flexible, and you can, you know, tie them in knots and everything, which is kind of cool. So kind of happy with that, firm but squishy. And we will move on to round 13. That's another single crochet around. Okay, round 14, we are going to single crochet 8 and then increase. Okay, and just because we've gotten a little bit past the head now, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of finish stuffing just to the base of the neck so that the head keeps its shape even back here as well. Okay. Happy with that. So that's actually going to be it for the stuffing. If you would like to have a solid snake body, you can add stuffing as you go. As you can see here, this is one that I've done previously. It's super flexible and everything. You can tie them in a knot easily, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for. So I don't stuff the body at all. We are going to go ahead and work the body. Now we have 10 stitches all the way around here for the body. You can make your snake as long or as short as you'd like. I normally like to keep this part of the body, excluding the tail part, which we'll add on at the end. I'd like to work this up to about 24 inches long. Depending on what kind of yarn and hook size you're using, that could be different number of rounds for you. For me, it works out to be about 43 rounds, kind of give or take. I don't really pay attention closely as I do this part because, I just kind of wing it. As you can tell, I don't use a stitch marker on this part either. But if you would like to, you can kind of mark, just because I don't like taking off the stitch marker every single time I do a round, I can mark where I've started and then just kind of keep stitching and, just kind of count the number of rounds as we go. So I'm gonna go ahead here. I'm gonna speed this up nice and quick for you guys because nobody wants to watch me stitch 43 rounds nice and slow. And I will meet you back here when it's all done. Okay, so that's what we look like at approximately 20 rounds of snake. I'm gonna go ahead and obviously double that because I'm going up to 43 rounds. I'm gonna be honest with you, I just wanted to have a little snack break. There's some chocolate sitting at my desk. I'll just show you guys because I just discovered these and I'm smitten. So they've been eyeballing me. Gonna pop one in my mouth and then we'll keep going. All right. My goodness, that was a marathon. Okay, so we've gone ahead. I'll see if I can get it all on the screen there. That's what I've done there with the 43 rounds of the 10 single crochet. Goodness me, that was a lot of stitches. I'm just gonna go ahead and find a measuring tape so I can go ahead. I originally said 24 inches. I'm not sure how accurate I was on that, so give me 1 second. Okay, so I've gone ahead and measured it, and it's actually really funny. It ended up being 23 inches long, which is basically what I was looking for. If I gave it a little stretch, then it would be even longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay with those 43 rounds. Obviously, if you're using a different size or weight yarn, then you probably wouldn't be looking for the 24 inches long unless you wanted a super long skinny snake. But those 43 rounds seem to work out really well. So we're going to move ahead. For me, this is round 58. For you guys, this might be a different round. But we're gonna go ahead and single crochet 8. I'm gonna bring back my stitch marker that I left down here. We don't need that anymore because we're gonna work round by round. I'm gonna do like a slow taper on the tail. So 8. And then a decrease. Now we are going to do 2 rounds of single crochet around. Now we're going to single crochet 7 and then decrease. And then 2 rounds of single crochet around. Now these rounds are getting so small that I'm not going to use my stitch marker anymore. I can just kind of count them out in my head, but feel free to keep using your stitch marker if it helps you keep your place. We are going to do single crochet 6 and then decrease. There's our decrease. And you can probably already guess what's coming up next, but we are going to do 2 rounds of single crochet around. Okay, we're going to do another decreasing round. So we are going to do single crochet 5 and then decrease. And following the same pattern, we're going to do 2 rounds of single crochet around. One more decreasing round, so single crochet 4 and then decrease. And then 2 rounds of single crochet around. Okay friends, that is actually it. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on screen here. So we've got a nice little taper going on at the end. We'll loop around the whole body here. So that's what we have. Let's go ahead and fasten off the tail. Give ourselves a bit of a tail here. And fastening off, we just kind of yarn over and pull through, kind of like a chain one, and secure so that won't unravel. And we're going to go ahead and use our needle to close up the hole. I do that by picking up the front loops of the stitches, kind of weaving in and out all the way around. So I'm going to come from the top down in that loop, and the next one I'm going to go from the bottom up, top down, bottom up, and we have one more stitch, so top down. Okay, and then when we pull that tight, it just closes it off nicely. Now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to secure this by kind of weaving around that little circle that we created in the same direction, kind of like how we closed off our magic ring at the beginning, or secured it, I guess. Okay, so we've got a nice little round tail here, and then I'm just going to, a little awkward, it's so big, we're going to, I'm just going to bring it a little further down into the tail so there's more stitches to work with. And then I'm just going to kind of weave it in and out a little bit in this round. So I'm going to go underneath a few stitches here. Okay, just like that. I've gone ahead and gone into the stitches, so not just through the tail. Pull it snug. Go into the next round, do the same thing, go back in the opposite direction. Okay, pull that snug, and we'll go one more. So we'll come down into the next. And go under the stitches. And then that's it. So no matter where this tail is tugged from, it's not going to unravel that at all, right? It's very secured. We've gone around in a circle and zigzagged and whatever. So let's go ahead, we'll sink this yarn tail into the tail, and then we can trim it. Okay, good. So this is what we're left with so far. If you added safety eyes in the beginning, then your snake is complete. For the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and stitch up those eyes and sew them into place. Okay, to make the eyes, we're going to grab our 4mm hook and our worsted. I'm doing mine in yellow because we are making Gary the snake and he has yellow eyes. Traditionally, from what I could see online, the blue Pid Viper has more of a circular eye, so you're obviously welcome to do that as well. But because we're doing the cartoon, his eyes are a little bit more goofy and they're kind of triangular shaped, so that's what we're going to go for today. So we're going to start with our magic ring again. So it looks like this with the X, under the X, and pull up that loop, yarn over and pull through. So now it's secure. I'm going to pull that little tail out again as well. And we are just going to make our triangle right into this circle. So we're going to start with a single crochet 2, half double crochet 2, single crochet 2, half double crochet 2, and then single crochet 2, and half double crochet 2, and that's it. So that's kind of what it looks like there. Let's pull it closed. Because there are so many stitches there, you might have to keep tugging on it, there we go, until it secures all the way. Now cut yourself a bit of a tail, because we're going to be using this tail to be sewing into the head. Okay, and go ahead and just pull that yarn tail all the way through your stitch. Instead of doing a slip stitch to join, we're gonna do an invisible join here. So to do that, grab your needle and that yarn tail that you just pulled through. And what we're going to do is you find the next stitch where you would slip stitch into. So that's that first single crochet right there. We are going to skip it and go to the next single crochet, which is right here. Insert your needle under both loops. Pull it through. And then we're going to come back. You can see the top of the stitch where we just went into. I'm going to go under the two loops kind of on the side and the back here. So not this front one here. Okay. And there we go. Basically all we've done is we have formed a fake stitch on top of the single crochet that you would normally slip stitch into, and then it looks seamless. To secure it, I'm just gonna kind of weave my way back into that stitch where we skipped over it. Basically just flatten that down a little bit. So that's what it looks like from the top and the back. Now, for simplicity reasons, I'm just going to tighten up my circle, and I'm just gonna tie these two together. If you wanted to, you can still secure your magic ring by going all the way around and tightening it that way. But because mine tightened up nicely, I'm just gonna secure it this way with a knot. Since this is going to be sewn on anyways, the knot will be hidden. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and make a second one, and then we will add the pupil. All right, so we have both eyes done. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our pupils. I like to do this part before we sew it on, just because I find it's easier to attach all the little yarn tails and hide them a little bit better. But if you prefer to do the pupils after, you're more than welcome to do that after as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just going to cut a couple small pieces of yarn here. And all I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna kind of feel for it a little bit here. So I just found the corner that's furthest away from my knot, just so that the knots aren't stacking up on each other. And I know that the snakes have a vertical eye slit, or pupil, I guess. So just kind of getting a feel for what it looks like. I kind of like how that looks. Show you here. Nice big pupil. I think I'm gonna go over that twice just because my yarn is so small. It's a weight 1. Okay. The only thing that I would just, as a reminder, so as you're going, I'm gonna show it on this snake that I have. It doesn't have the eye ridges, so it doesn't look exactly like what it's gonna be, but so on this guy, when we are sewing the eyes onto the face, we're gonna be going through all of the back loops. So it always looks like we have like the V shape of the front loops and the stitches all the way around. So when you're doing your pupil, make sure that you're not going into the actual stitching edges, because then it won't look quite as neat. So I think I'm happy with that on that one. I'm not gonna knot it until I finish the second one though, because I'm not very good at making things symmetrical. Okay, and I'm gonna find again the corner that's furthest away from my knot. And let's see how we did the people on that side. Okay, looks like I've come up through this single crochet down here. And I've taken it all the way up to the single crochet at the top. It looks like that guy. If you have a hard time telling the difference between the single crochet and the half double crochet, if you look at the back, the half double crochets have these extra like loopy backs and the single crochets do not. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I try to look for the difference. Does that look the same? It does. Good. We're looking symmetrical. Yay. Okay, good. So for anybody wondering, it looks like I've gone ahead and done the, you have the half double crochets here, 1 and 2. And then on the first single crochet next to them, that's where I've done the pupil. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna tie these off on the back. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna do a 3rd knot. It's because sometimes people pick at little details like that. When I say people, I usually mean little kids. Anything that stands out is probably gonna get picked at. Okay. My hands are cold, they're not working very fast here. Come on, you. There we go. All right. So let's grab our snake, move a few things out of the way, and we will sew it in place. All right, so I've just gone ahead and kind of tacked where I want the eyes to go. Basically what I looked for was the ridges for the front post single crochets. And I want the point of the eye in the inner corner to be kind of touching those. Remember, you want your pupils to be straight up and down. So it's kind of at an angle. Before I tack the rest of it, I just want to hide some of these yarn tails inside the head. So we're gonna go ahead and just kind of sink these in just somewhere behind the eye. Oops. There it is. There's one. To kind of get those out of the way. I'm also going to sink the yarn tail that was there from the magic ring at the beginning. We don't really need that there either. And I'm probably going to tie it off against the tail from the other side. So just because I like everything extra secure. There we go. That's the one side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's a little bit cleaner now. I'm going to tie these ends together, just a little extra layer of security for securing the eyes. And we can sink those too. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and trim off all these little tails because we don't need them. Okay, give it a little massage and everything else gets hidden. Perfect. Now we can just focus on these tails. So let's grab our needle again. I am going to kind of secure how I want these eyes to look. Changing the angle of the eyes kind of makes him look a little bit more angry, a little more happy. So I'm gonna start with this eye first. So I think that's how I want it to look. In case you're wondering what I'm using here, you probably can't see it, but basically needles and I can't remember what these are called, but the little baking skewers. It'll come to me 20 minutes from now what they're called. Okay, so let's grab our yarn tail and going as slow as you need to go. You only want to do this one time. We are going to sew into the stitches on the face. Okay, just like that. And we are going to pull up only the back loops because remember we wanted to keep 2 loops all the way around the eye to give it a clean finished look. So that means we're going to be going through the 3rd loop when we hit half double crochets and just somewhere on the back of a single crochet when you get to it. So you don't have to worry, it will all be very secure when you work all the way around. So you don't have to worry about the fact we're not going through a bunch of loops on the single crochet. Double check that that positioning looks good. Basically gonna double check after every single stitch as we go. Okay, so you can see there, that's what, how close are we here? There we go, that's what I'm looking for here. And you can see where I've sewn these 2 stitches here. It looks nice and polished still. So let's do that all the way around. our first eye is done. It's tucked nicely into the front post stitches there. I'm just gonna go ahead and sink this tail into the center of the face again, because I'm gonna tie off the two tails together. So we're just gonna go ahead and leave that there. And I'm going to sew this one across as well, and then tie them off together. right, let's tie off those yarn tails. And there we have it. Now, what I would like to do with this is I'm gonna go ahead, because this yarn seemed to be like a little like softer, more pliable than how I designed this. The eye ridges aren't super obvious, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and just kind of sew this yarn around them so you can see them a little bit more, because I really like that sunken eye look. So I'm gonna show you how I did that, just in case you run into the same problem with your yarn. So I'm just going to insert kind of somewhere in the middle of the nose here and pull up right beside the very first front post. And I give myself kind of like half the yarn here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to insert under that front post and just like through the stitch. Okay, so we're just going to basically wrap it just like that. And I'm going to do that twice because I do kind of want it to be thick. Just like that. Okay, not pulling too tight because I don't want it to sink the stitch again. I want it to sit on top of the stitch. I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. So I'm going to wrap this front post stitch twice, gently. Okay, just like that. You can see where I'm going with this. Okay, and then I'm going to find, this one is a little bit more tricky to find because it wasn't in line with the other one. Remember, we did the front post over here before the stitch of the front post, basically. So find the stacked stitch on top of where you are now and move over one. That's where we're going to be wrapping. Okay, again, it'll be obvious for you if you have yarn that didn't just like smush everything together like mine did. Okay, I'm gonna wrap that twice. Perfect. Okay, and that is what we are left with on that side. Now I'm gonna do the exact same thing, and I'm going to, actually I'm gonna sink this first somewhere into the center of the head because we're gonna tie off the ends together. Now that side is done. Remember, don't pull that snug. Now the other side, we're gonna do the exact same thing. So we're going to come up into this hole right beside our first front post. Okay, just be careful you're not pulling this one too tight. And we are going to wrap in the opposite direction, just like this, okay? One, two, okay, next one, if I can get under it, there we are. Actually, I've got to say, compared to my draft version of this one, where everything kind of stuck out naturally on its own, I actually like the way that this wrapped looks. Like how this looks even better than the other one. I think I'm gonna do this all the time. And same thing, so this one is going to be outer from where we are. So the stacked stitch is right above it. This one was our front post. Kind of loops out. looks great. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, sink those into the same stitch, not pulling tight. We'll do a gentle knot here. Okay, yeah, I'm loving how that looks. That's officially gonna be the pattern. We're just gonna go ahead and embroider the extra deep ridges there, I think, from now on. Okay, I'll sink that somewhere into the head. Okay, all right, there we have it. We have officially made Gary the Snake. Super cute, our blue pit viper. Absolutely loved how those eye ridges turned out at the very end there. Super cool. I know those don't show up super great on camera, but they're really pronounced in person. I've gone ahead and just knotted mine up because I think that's really, really cute. And I hope that you guys enjoyed making him just as much as I did. And we will see you at the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.